Hi there, I'm Danny Flex and welcome to the latest edition of SecondsOut ReFLEXions. We're here every Monday at 4:30 PM to talk about the boxing action of the weekend just gone. And the big fight, of course, the biggest fight of the last week and also the last mega fight of 2020 saw Canelo Alvarez, the Mexican superstar, become a legitimate four-weight world champion, having previously won the WBA regular belt. He this time captured the WBA super title at super middleweight, along with the vacant WBC belt, with a comprehensive, dominant points victory over the consensus 168-pound number one and incoming Ring Magazine champion Callum Smith. It was quite a repetitive fight, I thought. Not boring. I'm not going to say it was boring or tedious. It was absorbing and you kept watching it. But it wasn't the most exciting fight, and each round seemed to follow a similar pattern, in that Smith would attempt to start the round by being quite proactive, establishing his jab, and so on. And then Canelo, as the round wore on, would just crank up the pressure with his feet, quite subtle, as we're used to seeing him doing. Take shots on the gloves, move his head, move his upper body to avoid what was incoming, and then land the more telling blows, and gradually backing Smith up to the ropes and into the corners, which is obviously where the much shorter, less rangy man wanted the fight to take place. Callum Smith suffered a left biceps injury. It was reported later on, quite early in the fight, and wasn't throwing the left hand with the same venom in the later rounds as he was early on. And Canelo admitted to not only noticing that, but also to attempting to cause the injury, in a sense, by targeting the arms of Callum Smith, as he had done in previous fights, to weaken those limbs. All that aside, I don't think it was a pivotal factor necessarily in the fight. I felt like Canelo dictated the pace and the rhythm of the fight. I think his greater experience at that sort of elite level and on the big occasion aided him immensely in the fight. I think the size difference was never really a factor, unless we're talking about maybe Smith struggling at times with someone so much shorter, but it certainly wasn't a factor in favour of the champion going in. But it's hard to pinpoint lots of things Smith did wrong. I think in sometimes you just have to say Canelo was too good. He was just a better fighter all round. Smith's still a very, very accomplished talent, still a world-class fighter, but just didn't have the necessary artillery to beat someone like Canelo. It's hard to know at this point exactly who can. Smith could have used the jab more, I guess, before the arm injury. After that, it became negligible. But before that, perhaps he could have been busy with the jab, varied it more, which is something I said in the build-up. Don't want to blow my own trumpet too hard. What a nice image there. But I called it. I did say it was going to be a points victory for Canelo. I said if Smith was going to have any chance in the fight, he needed to establish that jab early, be busy with it, and vary it up. I never really felt he did that. He tried to mix it up a bit. He tried to feint with Canelo, tried to counter punch, and did try a number of different things. It wasn't a lack of versatility, but I just think that his natural style, kind of upright, working off the jab against Canelo, is always going to be quite limiting. But not only that, if the jab is the cornerstone of your strategy, then you need to use it more effectively and more often. And Canelo didn't let him. I think there was always a concern with throwing that lead that Canelo would be able to counter sharply, as he often did, particularly with the right hook to the body. I thought was very effective underneath Smith's jab, and the right hand over the top. Smith tried the right uppercut too often as well, I thought. That was something I spotted from watching it last night. I didn't watch it live. I watched it last night. But yeah, he was throwing that right uppercut, and Canelo was coming inside, feinting, waiting for the uppercut to be thrown, and then leaning back or slightly to the side. I don't know why I'm doing it. Leaning back or slightly to the side to avoid the shot by inches, and then come back with his quick counters. And even once he'd done that a number of times, Smith was still chancing that right uppercut. It clearly wasn't working for him. He's obviously got a very good whipping left hook to head and body. We didn't see that enough. I think Smith, with his longer arms, could have thrown more body shots from distance and still had a chance of landing. I think Canelo's upper body movement and head movement is exquisite. It makes it very hard to land more than one shot in a row cleanly against him. So even though Callum was trying combinations, it was not that he was punch picking, just trying single shots. I think he should have focused more on the body because there's more chance he would have connected. But all that aside, I think even if Callum Smith had done everything that I'm saying and been, 100% in his performance, not suffered the injury, I think Canelo probably still would have come out on top. He's a world-class elite level fighter now at his peak, both physically and strategically. I say, because he may still have improvement in him, but looking at his performance, it's very difficult to see what he could have done much better. He strategically and intelligently walked down a much bigger man, or at least much taller and rangier man. His shot selection was exquisite. I've used that word already, but it was very good at times. And he never took risks, even though he was the aggressor in the fight. He was very clever with his footwork and his head movement. A lot of people still underrate his footwork, I feel, but his feet are a lot faster than they used to be. But it's just intelligent footwork. He does a lot of things that you're not taught in the gym when you first start out as a boxer, and that a lot of fighters out there wouldn't do because it wouldn't work for them, but does work for him. Like, he squares up quite a lot at distance, but then as he moves into range, once he's at the range that he feels is optimum for him, then he'll turn side on a bit more. He'll often move his back foot before his front foot as he advances as well. So it means that he's always very short steps, but he's always retains his balance while he's doing it, and I think that's the all important thing. Rules are there for a reason, but they're also there to be broken if you've got the skill set and the ability to get away with it, and he has. He's found a style that works impeccably for him. But yeah, he finds it easy to get inside, and that judgment of distance is near flawless now. And I was originally going to put on the thumbnail to this video unbeatable ? But then I knew that we'd have a lot of people saying, well, no, he's not unbeatable, obviously, because he's been beaten. Because I think there was a similar thing with Lomachenko before, where someone asked if he was unbeatable. And yes, Canelo does have a defeat on his record against Floyd Mayweather, of course, but that was a lot of years ago now. He's improved incredibly since, to be fair. And I changed it to unstoppable, of course, because I don't know who out there between the weights that Canelo wants to fight at. So say, I don't think he's going down to 154 again, but obviously people can move up. But 160 and 168, I'm not sure there's anyone there I'd favour to beat him. 160, 168 and 175 as he fought at light heavyweight in his last fight. But again, I think the one who I'd pick out as the biggest threat to him in those three weight classes is Artur Beterbiev. Obviously, ferocious fighter, very smart tactically as well, really good amateur, strong, big puncher. But I don't know, I think maybe just a bit too, I don't want to say limited, that's not the right word, but maybe a bit too one-paced for Canelo. Maybe not quite as smart, maybe not as much guile. I don't know. It's a tough one, and I think Canelo would go in against someone who is probably a bigger puncher than him, which doesn't happen very often. Someone who's physically stronger than him, which doesn't happen very often either. And that would be the most kind of intriguing match that's out there at the moment. But I'd still, if I had to pick guns ahead, I'd probably still pick Canelo to win that. And then you've got Golovkin. I think, if Golovkin was going to beat him and get the verdict on the scorecards, it would have happened by now. I think we're at a stage now where Golovkin, even though he looked really good on Friday night against Kamil Zureta, I think we're at a point now where Canelo will start a healthy favourite against him. Charlos, I don't see them as being quite at Canelo's level just yet, and whether they can get there or not is open to question. And then you've got the other super middleweight champions, as Canelo said he wants to unify the belts at super middleweight. Caleb Plant, I think that's an interesting style match for Canelo, as is WBO champion Billy Joe Saunders, both very slick, fast hands, more boxers than aggressors. So I think Canelo, if there's any style that he struggles with, it's that style. But even then, I'm not sure. In Saunders' case, would his punch output be high enough to keep Canelo off him for the 12 rounds? That's one question. The other with Caleb Plant, we haven't seen him beat an elite level fighter yet. We haven't seen him compete against an elite level fighter yet. And maybe we just need to see him do it. Maybe he's waiting for that opportunity and he'll rise to the occasion. But that's a concern as well. Canelo just looks all dominant at the moment. Who else out there? Who do we see coming through that might have a chance? It shows the desperation people have to find an adequate match for Canelo, in that people are suggesting Errol Spence move up. Spence hasn't even been at 154 yet. He's a welterweight still, and a very good one. You know, a world-class elite level fighter. But going up against even at middleweight, where Canelo has fought quite recently at light heavyweight, it just seems like he'd be much too big for him. But people are just desperate to see Canelo challenged. So we'll see who he ends up fighting. Assuming in 2021 he'll go back to his standard Mexican holiday dates of May and September. He'll want to fight Plant and Saunders in either order to unify and have all 4 major belts at 168 pounds. That's his short-term goal, he said. And the frightening thing is, he's still quite young as well. He's younger than a lot of the other people on the pound-for-pound list. And he's my pound-for-pound number 1. He was before the fight, and he still is. But his resume, his accomplishments, who he's beaten, how he's beaten them at the different weights as well. I don't see anyone else could be the pound-for-pound number 1, but obviously open to debate. But I guess I'm going to turn the question over to you guys, and I'd like you to say in the comments below who you would like to see Canelo fight next. Who's his biggest threat? Who out there at the moment, either on the way up or already at world level, do you think has got the best chance of defeating him? And also, please explain your rationale, so how they beat him, because I'm struggling here, but maybe I'm just a Canelo fanboy, so let me know what you think. Just to say, also at the weekend, apart from Golovkin demolishing Zuremeta and looking good doing so, on the same show we saw John Ryder take a clear unanimous decision over Mike Guy, so well done to him. But on the Channel 5 show on Friday night in the main event, something of an upset, although a lot of people in the trade had it as a 50-50 fight. Certainly the bookies had Craig Richards as a significant underdog, as he stopped Shakan Pitters to relieve him of the British light heavyweight title in a really good fight, actually, to watch on Friday night. So congratulations to Craig Richards, commiserations to Shakan Pitters, both really good guys. Hopefully Shakan can come again, and Craig can use this as a springboard to push on. He's got world rankings, so who knows how far he can go. As for everyone out there, I really appreciate all your support with ReFLEXions and FlexPectations, which will be here on Thursday. I'll be back for one more show before the end of the year, one more ReFLEXions, where we'll be rounding up 2020 and letting you know my fights and fighters of the year. I'm sure you'll be looking forward to that. So I'll be back for that next Monday at 4:30 p.m. And then this Thursday, FlexPectations will be more of a roundup, what I expect from 2021, because I'm not going to do a show on New Year's Eve. And yeah, so I'll be back on Thursday this week, 4:30 p.m. But yeah, let me know biggest threat to Canelo in the comments box below, and I will respond to some of the comments. Thanks very much, and yeah, Merry Christmas.